Hi everyone and welcome back. In our previous episode, we've seen the user experience for joining a device to Entra using Autopilot, configuring Windows Hello for Business, and allowing the user to access a file share from within the on-prem environment by only having the machine Entra joined. So the machine had line of sight to the domain controller, but it was not domain joined. We had a lot of configuration that had to be done prior to creating that episode. So in this episode, I would like to explore all that configuration so that you see how everything was prepared, and in case you would like to configure this in your environment as well. In our domain controller, we start by installing the required management module. And next, we run the set command to create the new Entra ID Kerberos server object in our on-premises directory. And then we confirm that it has been created correctly by running the get command. We can see that the computer object and the user accounts have been created successfully. This Azure AD Kerberos computer object that was created appears as a read-only domain controller in Active Directory, but it isn't associated with any physical server. It's only used by Entra to generate ticket granting tickets for the Active Directory domain. So this was it in Active Directory. Now let's go to Intune and continue our configuration. We navigate to the Windows Hello for Business blade under Enrollment, and we start by changing the toggle from Not Configured to Enabled. Enabling the TPM is an option that should be rather mandatory than anything else, because this ensures the security of the environment. We can set the minimum and the maximum length of the pin. We determine whether we want to have lowercase, uppercase, special character letters within our PIN. By default is no, and it should stay like that. We do not want the PIN to expire, generally speaking, but we do want to allow biometric authentication. We would like to use the anti-spoofing capability whenever available, and we want to enable the phone sign-in as well. For systems with a capable hardware, you should enable the enhanced sign-in security, as well as enabling the capability to sign in using security keys. By default, we apply this for all users, and this is the place where you can determine whether you want to change the scope. But that's it. We have enabled Windows Hello for Business at the tenant level. But that's not enough. So let's go into the Windows blade and continue with our configuration. We need to create some more policies because we want to enable Cloud Trust. So we start with creating a settings catalog, we give it a descriptive name, and we start configuring the settings. We search for Windows Hello for Business. This is the part where you can customize the configuration of Windows Hello for Business, by the way, should you not want to go by the default. And we select the Cloud Trust for On-Prem authentication. We enable this capability, and moving on, we stick with the default configuration for scoping tags, and now we need to assign this to either all devices or to a group which contains the devices you would like to assign this policy to. Now, the Microsoft documentation highlights the fact that Windows Hello for Business will use a Microsoft Entra Kerberos ticket to authenticate on-prem resources, but this capability is not enabled by default. So if everything is configured properly, a ticket granting ticket is returned to the client after the user has successfully signed in to the Entra joined machine. And that ticket is being used for accessing the on-prem environment. We review and we click Create. We have enabled the Cloud Trust capability, but we need another policy in order for that ticket to be issued to the client machine, or for the client machine to receive that ticket, if you will. So this time we create a custom templates policy, and within the configuration, of course, we start with a descriptive name. So we enable the capability for retrieving the Cloud Kerberos ticket. We provide a name and a description. And in regards to the URI that needs to be specified, we check the Microsoft documentation, which highlights the fact that by default, this setting is not configured. And when it isn't configured, the Microsoft Entra ticket granting ticket isn't retrieved during the user logon against the clouds. So this is why we need to enable this policy. And again, we see that this policy is scoped to the devices, not to the users. So we copy this information over, we set the data type to integer, and we give it the value 1 so that it is enabled. Moving forward, we need to assign this policy like we did with the previous one. And as we can see in the documentation, the scope for this, as I was mentioning, is the device, not the user, same as with the previous policy we created. We perform this assignment and we move next. We stick with the defaults, we review and confirm everything looks good, and we go ahead and create it. So that's it. We have our policies, we've enabled Windows Hello for Business, so we have the capability to retrieve ticket granting tickets, and we have Cloud Trust configured. So now let's see the user experience once again. The user logs in to the computer using the PIN. In this process, the user is issued a primary refresh token as well as a cloud TGT, and we can see this by running klist on the machine. If we check the event viewer logs, we can see more information about our configuration. So we expand application and services, we navigate to the user device registration blade. Here we can see that the Cloud Trust for On-Prem authentication has been enabled. Now, when the user wants to navigate to a file share which resides on premises, considering that the user has line of sight to that environment, is able to access this file share. Now, once again, just to confirm, we launch PowerShell and we run the DSREGCMD command, which allows us to see that the device is only Azure ID-joined, so Entra joined, not domain joined, that it has been issued the primary refresh token as well as the ticket granting tickets, and the ngc set value confirms that we have Windows Hello for Business enabled. So this is it. We had to configure a couple of things in both Active Directory and in the Intune portal, but we have enabled Windows Hello for Business, Cloud Trust, and the capability to retrieve the tickets for the client machines. I hope this was informative for you. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section of the video. And as always, when it comes to Azure, you always got your brother in the clouds. Thank you for watching. Have a good one.